Law punishment? What is that? Xianxia asked. That island was too strange. She was unable to chase after him immediately, so she could teleport so far away in one breath. After Xia Bailing took out a pellet to recover his strength and ate it, he said, "The law's punishment is used to punish the life of a special existence. For example, this island has a consciousness of its own, but it violates the law. So that's it? Why would there be such a punishment?" Xianxia still didn't understand. The main reason is to prevent other creatures from entering this island, and at the same time to prevent this island from landing on this land. I don't know why I'm punishing them either. This could be related to what the island did after it gained its spirit. Xia Bailing said, "Wait until I recover and continue to chase. I should be able to." Xianxia nodded. Since he had already begun to search for his own father, he would not give up. He too wanted to know what happened on that island to actually receive such a punishment. Xia Bailing took a few more pills which could help her recover a little faster. Once she recovered, she could continue to track that island. Wuxia closed his eyes and tried to sense it, then said, "This island is constantly moving. Is that what you wanted to do?" Xia Bailing nodded his head. "It should be. This island is also resisting. If not, it would not have stayed here for a period of time. It seems that this island wants to land on the ground, and only by landing on the desolate land can the island absorb the energy of the land." Xianxia had seen that island before. It looked like it was filled with the aura of death. It was extremely scary. He now understood a little. The punishment of the laws was to sever the connection between that island and the 8 desolate lands, and let that island die on its own. Xianxia knew how powerful that island was. It could produce a dragon vein on its own. And when it landed, it would definitely frantically draw out the energy of the Earth's core, nurturing an even stronger dragon vein beneath him. "I have recovered. Wuxia, get ready." At this time, Xia Bailing had become serious as well. It was because she was extremely interested in this matter, and also because this matter was extremely difficult, that caused her to have a competitive spirit. She must chase to that island and enter it to investigate. Wuxia nodded, then pointed in a direction. Xia Bailing immediately teleported over. This time they were very close to the island, just a bit away from entering it, but Xia Bailing shouted loudly instead. "What's wrong?" Xianxia asked hurriedly. The gigantic black island floating in the air also disappeared in a flash. "It's nothing. That island has a very powerful enchantment that cannot be broken through. Otherwise, we would have definitely been inside." Xia Bailing shook his head. "It's quite difficult. Let's try again." After taking 2 pellets, Xia Bailing quickly recovered. Just now, the island wasn't too far away from them, and when Xia Bailing entered the spatial passageway, he could immediately feel the aura of the island, which allowed him to determine the distance. "Sister Bailing, this time you just need to get close to the island. Once you enter the spirit formation, leave it to me," Xianxia said. He had the white tiger's jump. He wanted to see if he could break through the island's barrier. Xia Bailing said, "You really can? If I can't even use my spatial energy, don't force yourself. If I hadn't controlled it in time, I would have definitely been injured by the rebound of the barrier. That kind of power is too terrifying." Xianxia nodded his head. "I can try. You don't have to worry about me." She had stayed in the Hundreds of Flowers village for a few days, and from those women, she had learned a lot of things related to Xianxia, which were all quite shocking stories. After Xia Bailing recovered, he nodded towards Wuxia, indicating that they can begin. Wuxia quickly sensed the position of the island after it had teleported, and immediately teleported there. After teleporting, the moment Xianxia saw the island, his mind immediately moved, and he channeled all of his strength, even borrowing a lot of the power of the spatial laws to activate his White Tiger Dao mark. Under the power of the White Tiger Dao mark, he rode his 6 realms mirrors and teleported to the island with Wuxia. He successfully broke through the barrier. "Come in." Xianxia laughed. "Sister Feng, you can enter Yuyao Mountain Villa. You are safer inside." Wuxia nodded and then entered the Yuyao Mountain Villa. But Xia Bailing was extremely surprised and asked, "How did you get in?" Something that even I can't sit on. You actually did it. Hee. This is my secret. This is the power of my Tao mark. At this time, he was still riding on his 6 realms mirrors and entering the mountain forest inside the island. The island was shrouded in darkness, with black clouds everywhere. There was not a single ray of light from the sky, and the evil aura of death was everywhere, causing people to feel uncomfortable. What happened to this island? Could it be that many people have died before? Even if I got punished by the law, it shouldn't be like this. Xia Bailing exclaimed in surprise. Xianxia's 6 realms mirrors had a formation that prevented the outside world's qi from entering, otherwise, it would be extremely uncomfortable. Xianxia shook his head. I don't know either. In short, my father is on top of this. I have to find him. In order to find Xin Tianhu, Xianxia was currently taking a huge risk, because he wasn't sure how he would go out after entering the room. This is a dead island. It should be because it's completely sealed up by a law barrier and unable to absorb any aura from the outside. That's why it became like this. Of course, there must have been a lot of creatures that died on this island. Moreover, after these creatures died, they were unable to release their resentment and could only gather on this island. As time passed, they became like this. Xia Bailing said. The entire island was tightly sealed, and no aura would leak out or enter. This was how this island was being held up. My father is still alive, Xianxia said. An undead divine race probably calculated it. They are more accurate in calculating these things. Xia Bailing nodded. She did not want Xianxia to worry too. As Xianxia entered the island, all the trees that he saw were completely withered and were covered in a layer of black stuff. He walked over to the trunk of a large tree and touched it with his hands, only to realize that the black thing that wrapped around the tree was a layer of black stuff. What is this? Xianxia sniffed it, but it did not smell anything. Let me take a look. Xia Bailing took out a jade plate and asked Xianxia to place the black object on top of his finger onto the jade plate. Xianxia pointed at the center of the jade plate, and the jade plate that was made of white jade instantly turned into black mist. Poison! Xia Bailing shouted in shock, and then he used his spatial energy to send the poisonous gas outside. What poison is this? Why am I fine? Xianxia was also a little worried. He had touched it just now and sniffed it, but it was fine now. Absolute poison. Xia Bailing's face paled. She was actually frightened to this extent. Xianxia immediately looked at his own fingers, but nothing happened. Death poison? What is it? Xianxia was currently letting the 6 realms mirrors fly higher, because the lower part, the thicker it was. Do you feel anything wrong with your body? Xia Bailing's face was full of panic as she asked. Her delicate face was as white as paper from fright. It was strange in this pitch-black place. No, what about you? Xianxia asked. Sister Bai Ling, your face is not good. Xia Bailing frowned. Are you really all right? This is impossible. Legend has it that once someone touches the death poison, they will die without a doubt. What exactly is death poison? Maybe that thing just now was not it? Xianxia said. No, it must be. I recognize that smell. I've seen it before. When Xia Bailing spoke, her delicate body couldn't help but tremble slightly as fear filled her face. It was as if a little girl that had been frightened in the middle of the night had started to tremble. Sister Bai Ling, don't be afraid. Xianxia immediately pulled her into his embrace. Xia Bailing's delicate body was actually extremely cold, and Xianxia immediately released some fire energy to warm her up. Don't be afraid, I'm here. Xianxia never thought that the death poison would actually arouse the fear in Xia Bailing's heart. Maybe the death poison had given her a deep shadow before, which was why she felt so afraid when she thought back to the past. Xia Bailing hugged Xianxia tightly, her delicate body also trembling extremely badly. But as Xianxia lightly carried her back and felt the warmth coming from Xianxia's body, she had gradually recovered. Yet she was still hugging Xianxia. Sister Bai Ling, are you feeling better now? Xianxia asked. Xia Bailing placed his face against Xianxia's chest and sat on Xianxia's thigh. Both of his arms were wrapped around Xianxia, and his entire body was curled up in Xianxia's embrace. Xiang originally did not plan to ask further about the death poison. He was worried that this would cause Xia Bailing to be even more afraid, but Xia Bailing still said it out loud. When I was very young, I had seen the deadly poison. At that time, our family members all died in this poison, and I don't know why, but a black rain suddenly fell and then everyone died. I was born with the power of the space laws, so I used my space barrier to protect myself so I wasn't poisoned. Xia Bailing slowly spoke in a very soft voice. After that, everyone in our city died. Our city was very big. There were over 100 million people in there. After they all died, the city was sealed up. It's just like this place, full of poisonous gas and endless grievance. Xiang gently caressed her face, then hugged her close, giving her warmth and a sense of security. Later on, I lived in that city for over 100 years, and that memory was sealed away by me. Just now, when I saw the deadly poison and smelled that smell, it brought back my memories. I was still a child then, living in that fear every day. Xiang had thought about it himself. If he had lived in this city with billions of dead people for so long, it would already be rare for him not to go crazy. He suddenly understood why Xia Bailing was like a little girl at times. It was because the experiences from her childhood were like a nightmare to her. So she chose to seal that portion of her memories, and only retained the happiest moments of her childhood. Humph, little scoundrel. Take advantage of me. Xia Bailing lightly pinched Xiang's chest, then pouted at Xiang. She was currently still in Xiang's embrace. Of course not. Aren't I concerned about you? Xiang wanted to let go of her, but she refused to do so no matter what. Look, you're the one taking advantage of me right now. Xiang laughed. I don't care. I'm scared. Xia Bailing scoffed, then laid in Xiang's embrace. Why don't you enter the Yu Yao Mountain Villa? The environment inside is very good. Xiang laughed, then fiercely lowered her head and kissed Xia Bailing's beautiful face. Being ambushed by Xiang, Xia Bailing was infuriated, but she only pinched Xiang's arm, and then pouted playfully. Scoundrel, you even said that you didn't take advantage of me, and unexpectedly took an inch and kissed my face. I can't help it, seeing how beautiful you are. Xiang laughed. Go inside the Yu Yao Mountain Villa. It won't scare you like that. Xia Bailing pinched Xiang's face and said, Okay, let me in. Xiang took the opportunity to pinch her buttocks and sent her into Yu Yao Mountain Villa. At the same time, he also heard Xia Bailing cursing from inside. When Xia Bailing entered the Yu Yao Mountain Villa, she knew that he was Xiang's divine sense sea world, but she never expected him to be so beautiful. It was only then that she found out that Xiang had always been carrying around two extremely beautiful servant girls, and this caused her to uncontrollably scold Xiang a few more times. Little scoundrel, why didn't you get poisoned? Both Su Kong and Qingyang have seen how powerful the deadly poison is. They say that even Dao sovereigns find it difficult to defend against it, but you're actually fine. Even when Xia Bailing thought about it this way, he still couldn't understand what was going on. I don't know either, but I already had my impenetrable a long time ago. Xiang said. He had just heard Xia Bailing talk about how strong the death poison was, but he did not know how strong it was. Right now, he was even more worried about Xin Tianhu. In this kind of environment, it would be difficult for him to survive, and if Huang Jintian did not tell him that Xin Tianhu had a very long life ahead of him, he would probably be extremely miserable right now. Xiang rode on his 6 realms mirrors. Under normal circumstances, it would be safer. He did not know what happened on this island either, nor did he know what happened to meet this kind of calamity that could destroy the world. Sister Bai Ling, why did your city have this poison back then? Xiang saw that Xia Bailing was having fun in the Yu Yao Mountain Villa, so he asked. I don't know either. Many years have passed and I can't find out why. However, Qingyang and the others back in the city were also attacked by this deadly poison, and a black rain suddenly fell. The moment the rain touched the rain, the living beings would gradually melt and everything else would be covered by the black liquid and gradually rot. Xia Bailing was no longer so afraid, because Feng Yujie, Chu Hongqing and Yang Xiangyin were all inside, and Yang Xiangyin was even playing a beautiful zither that could soothe the soul. Could it be that the city where you 3 Dao sovereigns lived all those years ago suffered the same punishment as this island? Xianxia said, then how did you come out of it all those years ago? One day, I suddenly saw a golden light in the city. When I ran over, I touched a golden light and came out. Later on, I used many things to search for the city, but I couldn't find it. Xia Bailing said, I found something in the void. He said that it was a poison punishment. Chun Xiang faintly felt that Xia Bailing and the others, as the three Dao sovereigns from the book, had been punished by some kind of power on purpose. Sister Bai Ling, could this be done by the heavenly Dao? Chun Xiang asked. I don't know. The heavenly Dao is a very mysterious existence. I don't think he did it, but it's very likely that the rules he set worked. Or perhaps the law of the heavens has mutated, which is why our city is punished. Waibdu, Xia Bailing said, I had frequently discussed this matter with the Azure Sky Sun in the past, but I did not get any results. I have not mentioned it ever since. Chun Xiang allowed the Six Realms mirrors to fly a little higher. Although this place was filled with terrifying death poison, Chun Xiang was still cautious about what was hidden inside. Is your father really up here? Xia Bailing asked. It should be. Chun Xiang sighed, because the situation on the island was not looking good, and danger was everywhere. You don't have to worry too much. I also survived in this kind of environment. Xia Bailing laughed. She also felt like she had lost her family, so she was also comforting Chun Xiang right now. Chun Xiang nodded. He did not know how to start searching this place. This place was so huge, it was equivalent to a huge continent. But no matter how big it was, as long as he did not have any news on Shintianhu, he would not leave this place. Sister Bai Ling, how did the two Dao sovereigns Qingyang and Su Kong survive in such an environment all those years ago? Chun Xiang asked. Perhaps we can look for my father using their methods. Xia Bailing had the power of space. She could protect herself, and could even isolate herself from space. Void said that he survived by hiding underground because he had a special ability, which was to make himself appear hollow and then drill into the ground. He said that there were no effects on the underground. Xia Bailing said, yet Qingyang was hiding inside a clock, not corroded by the death poison. When Xia Bailing talked about going underground, Chun Xiang's eyes lit up. This was indeed a better idea. He immediately controlled the Six Realms mirrors to fly faster and wander in the air. At the same time, he used the Dao Heart Eye to check the ground to see if he could find anything. This island could be considered an independent world, and he felt that there would definitely be something similar to a core. Otherwise, it would be impossible to maintain the existence of this island. After half a day, Chun Xiang saw a place that emitted traces of a red mist. It was extremely thin, but this was the only energy that he had seen up till now. It seemed to be of the fire attribute, and could only be seen after careful observation using the Dao Heart Eye. I saw something. Why is there a fire attribute aura coming out of that place? Chun Xiang immediately flew over. This would allow him to sense things more carefully. What is it? Xia Bailing could not see anything, and she did not know that Chun Xiang had an extremely mystical Dao Heart Eye. It is the fire attribute aura that has emerged from the ground. Did this happen after your previous city was struck by the poison? Chun Xiang asked. No, after encountering the poison, there wouldn't even be spiritual energy. This deadly poison absorbs spiritual energy from the heaven and earth to continuously spread the poison. The rate at which it devours spiritual energy is extremely terrifying. As long as a person is touched by a small dot, he or she will be immediately devoured to death, and that drop of venom will become a lot more numerous as well, then turn into mist and dissipate. As long as someone touches something, they will immediately be devoured. How terrifying! Chun Xiang exclaimed. In that case, if there was even a tiny bit that leaked out, wouldn't that mean that many living creatures would die? That's for sure. So when you go out, you can't bring any. Xia Bailing said. So this kind of poison punishment is very mysterious. The places it appears in will always be wrapped up by a very powerful barrier, and won't let the death poison inside leak out. How terrifying! Chun Xiang could imagine that if a single drop of it were to flow out and come into contact with any rocks, flowers, trees, or the like, it would turn into even more deadly poison aura, and then spread outwards. Xianxia was now even more shocked by his own body. He couldn't understand why he could resist such a dreadful death poison, since his impenetrable was cultivated a long time ago, and at that time, he could only resist the poison in his world. That kind of poison was nothing to the current Octotera's body, so he didn't think that his impenetrable would have much of an effect. After all, the poison in the Octotera was a lot more terrifying than the ones he had seen in the past. But he never thought that he would still have the same impenetrable as before. When Xianxia approached the place where the fire attribute chi leaked out, he realized that there was a lot of fire attribute energy that kept coming out from below. But because the dead poison's devouring ability was strong, the energy that leaked out was extremely sparse. If not for Xianxia's careful observation earlier, he wouldn't have been able to notice it. Xianxia immediately used the God's Eye Dao mark and allowed the God's Eye Dao mark to work with the White Tiger's Dao mark. He could see a lot of things through the air. He followed the ground that was releasing the fire-type chi and went down, discovering that there was an extremely dense fire-type energy flowing out from there. As he went deeper, he discovered that there was a river in the depths. However, this river was filled with flame essence. The Earth's core. There really is a Earth's core here. Xianxia was overjoyed. This meant that his father was probably underneath there many times. He immediately used teleportation to arrive at the flow of the lava. This flame essence was rather special. It wasn't very viscous, but it was indeed fiery red in color. Moreover, it was relatively light, as if the flame essence had fused with some other special liquid. Where to? Xianxia didn't move at all at this moment, whose fire essence was flowing with him at a fast speed. Is it hot? Xia Bailing asked. I also want to go down and take a breather. It's just a little hot. You'd better not come down. It'll be very dangerous if the deadly poison comes out of nowhere. Xianxia laughed. Xianxia had been to the core of the earth before, so he was relatively experienced in this area. Right now, he had already dived into the fire river to prevent other creatures from seeing him. More than 2 hours later, he suddenly heard a sound. It was someone speaking. Hurry up and catch the fire beasts. If we can't, we'll be beaten up again when we go back. Person said. We really have a bitter life. We just didn't make any mistakes. Isn't it just because we looked at that young master? He was actually caught and turned into a slave. Let's not talk about it anymore. If the supervisors hear it, there will definitely be a flogging. Xianxia could even hear the ding-ding-dang-dang sound of iron chains clanging against each other. There were a lot of people by the side of the river. They were all tied up with iron chains. Xianxia immediately turned into a strand of faint mist and floated in the air. He did not expect that the fire river of fire would have already brought him to an underground world. It was very bright here, but unlike the sunlight on the ground, the river of fire was very wide. On both sides were trees with a strong fire attribute aura, and on the shore there were over 100 people chained together. Xianxia had already heard quite a bit about this underground world from the conversation between the two just now. There were some extremely powerful people here, and just because they were looked at by others, they were extremely unhappy, and then they captured and turned into slaves. This showed how cruel the underground world was, and how hateful those with power were. There were beasts here as well, and they were called fire beasts. After all, the underground world and the core of the earth had been hot places for a long time. Xianxia floated in the air, looking at the strength of these people. They were actually the size of Dao Dan realm. People with strength like theirs, they actually had no dignity at all. This made him feel that the ones with power in the underground world were extremely powerful. Save them, Xia Bailing said. I know. Xianxia nodded. He was currently looking for the supervisor. This group of people were already slaves, so what they were afraid of the most was supervisors. They all had a long whip that was emitting fire in their hands. Just now, Xianxia had seen the shocking whip marks on the bodies of many people. It was obvious that they had all been whipped. You bunch of bastards, don't complain. The only reason you guys ended up like this was because you had offended the nobles and they allowed you to live. This is luck, otherwise you would have been eaten long ago. Of course, they will not eat the meat of lowly people like you. At most, they will feed you to their pets or to the soldiers beside you. All of you, behave and don't even think about escaping. Otherwise, I'll kill you all." As the overseer spoke, he laughed sinisterly and then lashed out at the two extremely skinny youths. Surprisingly, he laughed at them, making Xianxia very angry. Xianxia could not imagine what kind of world this was, to actually eat humans. The 5 supervisors are all at the 10th level of Dao Dan realm. I can handle them myself. Xianxia said. Yuyao Mountain Villa's Xia Bailing wanted to take action. "I'll be fine. Sister Bai Ling. Killing this scum will only dirty your hands." Xianxia said. He had already changed back into his human form. His heavenly magic sword had already been repaired for Long Jiuxiao, but this did not affect his ability at all. Xianxia had just taken out his sword, when one of the supervisors noticed him, and immediately shouted, "Who exactly are you? This is the territory of King Qi Palace." Xianxia immediately descended, his face full of smiles. Right now, he dressed relatively decently with a handsome and masculine appearance. He seemed to be someone with status. "I'm here to kill you." With that said, a flaming sword suddenly appeared in Xianxia's hand and stabbed into the supervisor's throat. Violent fire energy exploded out from the fire sword and poured into the supervisor's body. Boom! The overseer's body exploded into ashes. When the 2 youths who were beaten up saw this, they froze on the spot. "Bastard, you truly have the guts to actually kill someone from the King Qi Palace. You're courting death." A supervisor rushed over, but before he could take a few steps, Xianxia had teleported over and punched the supervisor on the forehead. The meteor immortal power burst out. The berserk energy created a strong pressure and crushed the supervisor. Adding on the terrifying flames, his fist was smashed into powder by Xianxia. The remaining 3 supervisors were dumbfounded. They never expected this person to be so reckless. "Who exactly are you?" Everyone in Earth Spirit World knows that as long as you offend our King Qi Palace, you will die a horrible death. These fellows are the best examples. A supervisor shouted. He didn't dare to come over again. "I don't know what the King Qi's palace is, but no matter how powerful it is, I will do my best to flatten it. Of course, before that, I will annihilate all 3 of you dogs from King Qi." While Xianxia was speaking, he had already arrived in front of the supervisor, and with one punch, he turned him into dust. The remaining 2 supervisors did not dare speak anymore. Just as they were about to run away, the fire vines wrapped around their feet and Xianxia threw a punch at them through the air, sending 2 streams of flames into their bodies, burning their bodies to ashes. The slaves were stunned. They never thought that this man would be so reckless. Moreover, he was very powerful. Just like that, he killed off the 5 supervisors. After that, Xianxia and the group released the chains that bound them. The chains were made of extremely sturdy materials and were made of Dao Dan Realm S. "Thank you for saving us. Big brother, thank you so much. Otherwise, who knows how long we would have been tortured for." The group of slaves all thanked Xianxia. "Everyone, you all shouldn't have been added to the master-servant contract, right?" Xianxia said. "Of course not, we do not have the qualifications. Only the stronger people would be chosen by the nobles and be able to form master-servant contract, which would allow them to have better control over us." The youth said, "So they can only use iron chains to lock us down." "Hero, where did you come from? You do not seem to be from here. You are truly powerful, to not be afraid of King Qi Palace." An old man said. His body was covered in whip marks. Xianxia took out many pills, which were all given to him by Xia Bailing, and were not some precious pills, but they were extremely useful to these people. After they ate them, the injuries on their bodies healed by a lot. "I am from the outside world. Do you know anything about the surface?" Xianxia asked. "He actually came from outside? Aren't you afraid of the black poison?" The teenager exclaimed as he looked at Xianxia with eyes full of respect. "No." Xianxia laughed. "After the heavy rain, countless people died. We are outsiders. The people of this world have all died." The old man said. "Foreign? How can you all come from here?" Xianxia immediately asked. He was secretly worried. because the old man said that all the people here were dead. The world we were originally in was punished, but under the circumstances of a coincidence, a crack appeared in the world we were in, and then we came to this place. People from both worlds could have gotten along with each other, but in order to control the Earth spirit world, the evil demons waged a war and killed all of the indigenous people here. Those guys are also nobles now. The old man sighed. At that time I was still very young, and my parents were also captured and killed because they were against the war. Those who were initially opposed to it were all killed, and those who participated in the war are now all nobles. Xianxia clenched his fists tightly and gritted his teeth. He was trying his best to restrain his anger. This was his birthplace in the first place. Why would he be in such a disaster? Oh right, there seems to be one more person who is still alive. His name is Shun Tianhu, the old man suddenly said. Those evil spirits have been trying to catch him. Shun Tianhu did not die. Xianxia was ecstatic and elated. But when he thought about how his Shin family had suffered a tragic death, his heart was immediately filled with sorrow. That was his roots. Old mister, do you know where Shin Tianhu is? Xianxia asked. How much do you know about him? Shin Tianhu was originally the Earth Spirit World's realm king. He was a very good person, and his Shin family was also very powerful. However, they were still unable to defeat the dozen or so powerful forces and were ultimately destroyed. The old man sighed. I heard he isn't dead yet. Is he still alive? He's still in Earth Spirit World, hiding somewhere to plot revenge. Thank you for telling me. Do you all have places to go? Xianxia asked. This Earth Spirit World is very big. If we hide here, they won't be able to find us. But you have to be careful, honorable hero. Su Yun said calmly. You guys hurry up and leave. I will stay here for a while, and if anyone comes, I will kill them. That way, they won't be able to catch up to you for a short period of time. Xianxia said. The group of slaves were once again grateful to Xianxia, and then left together. They knew that they had to unite together now in order to fight the enemy. Xianxia waited for 4 hours, and sure enough, someone came. It was an army, hundreds of people, all of them wearing armor, and they were all at the 10th level of Dao Dan realm. Where are the slaves? The leading man asked. The spear in his hand was already at Xianxia's throat. His voice was extremely cold, filled with killing intent. You should ask your supervisor, Xianxia said. Where's the overseer? The leader asked. Dead. After Xianxia finished speaking, he teleported behind the supervisor. A violent tiger roar sounded and Xianxia's fist turned into the shape of a white tiger. This was his father's fist technique. Upon seeing it, the Bai Lai soldier immediately recalled that Shin Tianhu had used this move to kill many of their powerful leaders back then. Xianxia's fist techniques became even more violent, because he added meteor immortal power. The tiger head bit towards the leader's head, smashing him into pieces. He laid on the ground, turned into dust by Xianxia's fire palm. We are from the King Qi. Just as one of the soldiers finished speaking, his mouth was pierced by a fire sword, and Xianxia's fire sword Dao Mark was also extremely powerful. Xianxia's group also reached high up in the sky and unleashed a gigantic fire cloud palm. Using the meteor immortal power's divine energy, they struck out and in the blink of an eye, they landed on the ground. Those 100 or so powerful soldiers were all instantly killed by him. The fire cloud palm caused the sky to be covered in dense fiery clouds, and the fiery light reached to the sky. Even from afar, it could still be seen very clearly, and when the fire cloud palm pressed down, it was as if mountains were collapsing and the ground was cracking, causing the earth to tremble non-stop. This kind of movement very quickly alarmed the rankers from the... They all moved out, but saw Xianxia floating in the sky, looking at them with a murderous look. Who are you? You actually killed 100 of our King Qi's elites. An old man said angrily. You are only at the 10th level of the Dao Dan realm, but you actually possess such powerful strength. You are definitely from a famous clan. Just what kind of power are you from? Behind the old man were 10 middle-aged men, all of them in the 5th stage of the Dao Pa realm. Are you from the King Qi Palace? Xianxia asked. That's right, the King Qi is in charge of 30 cities. We are stationed at Qishuang City. The elder said coldly, "Why did you want to kill our people? This old man's strength is very strong. His Dao Per realm is at the 7th or 8th level. Chunxiang is not his match. But he is not afraid at all. Because you are people from the King Qi, so I will kill you. You all must have also done a lot of heartless things for that bullshit King Qi. Right?" Chunxiang sneered. "Humph, it seems that you are going to be a person who extorts evil and punishes evil? You need to have the strength to insult our King Qi, and that will be your death sentence." The old man angrily said, "You can go and die now." After the old man finished speaking, the 10 middle-aged men behind him immediately rushed over. However, as they rushed over, they discovered that only their bodies had passed over, and their heads, feet, and legs were still standing in place. What made them incomparably frightened was that after their feet, legs, heads, and bodies were separated, there was no pain at all. Furthermore, the connection was still there. This was Xia Beiling's move. Chunxiang had seen Xia Beiling use this move before. "You? Just who are you?" "We, the King Qi, have never offended any major powers, and when we kill people, we only kill those lowly people." The old man asked because his 4 limbs were separated from his body. "You're all going to die soon. Why do you need to know so much?" After Chunxiang finished speaking, he walked over and gave the old man's head a powerful palm strike, turning it into ashes. The rest of the 10 middle-aged men were stunned. Only their bodies could move, but their bodies could only move. What was the use of that? Their hands and feet were all at their original places, only floating around, not attacking Chunxiang. Very quickly, Chunxiang killed these 10 people. Of course, he only killed one of them after absorbing his memories. Chunxiang learnt a lot about this Earth spirit world from his memories. This Earth spirit world was built by his father, Shun Tianhu. Chunxiang did not expect his father to have such abilities. He was able to build a city like this underground, and it was also very obvious that his father had predicted that a poisonous rain would descend, allowing many people to survive. However, because of the appearance of the spatial crack, they were brought here by people from another world, where a war eventually broke out and many experts from Earth's spirit world were killed. "I have to find father as soon as possible." Chunxiang could only let his father know that he was here. Chunxiang came to the nearby Qishuang city, where there were over 100,000 people surrounding the city walls. The son of the King Qi who was serving as the city lord was just a popinjay, and because he had the King Qi's father, many powerful people kneeled and licked him, just to curry favor with the King Qi. Chunxiang now knew what kind of existence the King Qi was. The first emperor who took over the Earth Spirit world was called the Earth Spirit Emperor, and the 10 great leaders that came with the Earth Spirit Emperor were all conferred the title of king. The King Qi was the Qi family, which was also very strong. After all, this was a relatively small city, but there were transmission arrays in here that could lead to other cities. Qi Xianlang is that hedonistic son of the King Qi. He seems to be having some sort of gathering here, and I can go and disrupt it. Chunxiang looked at the most luxurious building in the distance. It was Qi Xianlong's residence. When Chunxiang came, he had already become one of the middle-aged men that was killed by him. The middle-aged man also had a very high position here. After all, he was strong, so he easily entered the tall building. After entering the tall building, Chunxiang went to one of the floors according to his memories. This was the floor where Qi Xian often sought pleasure, and he would often invite young masters from other powers to play with him. They were all popinjays. When Chunxiang walked up the stairs, he changed back to his original appearance. When he arrived at the 7th floor, he heard waves of laughter and immediately confirmed that this was the floor Qi Xian was on. After he entered, he saw that there was a large hall inside. In the middle of the hall, there was a stage with many girls dancing, and below, there were many young noblemen hugging beauties, drinking wine and laughing. Chunxiang was no longer unfamiliar with such extravagant scenes. Previously, he would often see that many women were now half-naked, and extremely naked. After entering, Chunxiang looked around, only to realize that the strongest was just a Dao Per realm. The rest were all at the 10th level of the Dao Dan realm. Those unambitious young masters here had mostly stopped at the 10th level of the Dao Dan realm, making it hard for them to level up. "Qi Xianlang!" Chunxiang shouted out. His voice was loud, causing everyone's ears to ring. At this time, the hall became quiet. Who's calling me? Xian stood up and looked in the direction of the door, anger written all over his face. It's me, Xianxia said indifferently. Xian's clothes were in a mess, and beside him were two seductive women hugging him. Do you know the rules? When you look for me, you have to inform me and arrest him. What a disgrace, Xian said coldly. When Xianxia shouted just now, there were two men standing behind him. Now, with Xian's order, they anxiously grabbed onto Xianxia's arm, wanting to take him away. But suddenly, Xianxia disappeared. Everyone looked at Xianxia, and just like that, he suddenly disappeared, causing them to be shocked and looked around. Where is he? Xian looked around and rubbed his eyes. He had drunk a lot of wine and was getting drunk. Here. Xianxia suddenly appeared in front of Xian and sneered. Your father is King Qi? That's right, who exactly are you? You know my father is a King Qi, but you still dare to be so rude to me. Xian was shocked and quickly shouted. You should be tired of living. While Xianxia was speaking, he threw a punch towards Xian's face, and at the same time, a hand grabbed onto Xian's wrist. This way, Xian wouldn't fly out even if he was hit by a heavy punch. Xianxia's punch was not very strong, but Xian let out a pitiful cry. His handsome white face was already swollen red, and his entire face was deformed. Xianxia controlled himself well. He would not kill Xian with one punch, but he could still feel the pain. You! Quickly kill him! Xian roared. He did not know why Xianxia attacked him, but it was no longer important to him, because no matter what the reason was, he had to kill Xianxia in order to remove the hatred in his heart. Xianxia then slapped over again, landing on Xian's swollen face, causing him to scream miserably again. If you dare to come over, I'll immediately cut off one of his arms. Xianxia said coldly. He looked at the people around him. All of you scram! I will kill you. Xian's body trembled. He used his own strength, and was about to attack Xianxia, but was struck in the chest by Xianxia. The force of the palm strike made Xian scream in pain, and he even spat out a mouthful of blood. Who the hell are you? Let go of young Master Qi quickly, or else King Qi will make you suffer a fate worse than death. A middle-aged man shouted. He was responsible for protecting Xian, and now that something like this had happened, he would definitely be blamed in the future. I am Xianxia. Xin Tianhu told me to kill this trash. As Xianxia said that, he slapped Xian a few more times on the face. Xian's face was so distorted that he could not even recognize him. It was sent by Shen Tianhu? The middle-aged man became serious and retreated quickly. He obviously knew that Xianxia was very strong. Otherwise, he would not have been able to control Xian, who was at the 10th level of the Dao Dan realm, so easily. Xianxia was also at the 10th level of the Dao Dan realm, but amongst those of the same level, he was basically invincible. You bastard! If others look at you more, you'll be captured and taken as a slave. Xianxia snorted and punched Xian in the abdomen. Don't worry, I won't kill you. I will let you live, but you will feel better than dead. With that said, Xianxia slapped Xian's head, directly shattering Xian's divine sense, making him look like a cripple. Help me tell your father, King Qi Tortoise, that I, Xianxia, will find him sooner or later. At that time, I will treat him as I treat you. Xianxia laughed, and then fiercely slapped Xian's face again. The force of the slap caused Xian to fly out, colliding with the wall and landing on the street outside. Following that, Xianxia struck the ground with his palm. The berserk heaven-blasting palm released a terrifying shockwave that turned the entire building into ruins, and all the people buried within the ruins started to curse. When the building collapsed, Xianxia had already teleported away. After teleporting to a place where no one was around, Xianxia used a transformation technique to turn himself into an old man, and then left a secret mark in some parts of the city. Only the Shen family could understand the meaning behind this secret mark. If Shen Tianhu saw it, these records would lead him to the place where was buried. Xianxia was currently in the city, so with him causing such a commotion, it would definitely spread out in a short amount of time. If Shen Tianhu knew about this, he would definitely secretly come to the city, and at that time he would be able to contact them. 2 days later, the matter had already spread throughout the city, and Xianxia heard from many people that the majority of the people in the city, including Qi Xian, were extremely disgusted and even felt the same way about the emperors and the other nobles, because they always did whatever they wanted to bully the weak and bully the weak. Qi Xian was completely destroyed by Xianxia. The divine sense was completely erased. It was extremely difficult to cultivate new ones, and he was even beaten up by Xianxia ruthlessly. His heart was definitely full of shadows, and it would affect his entire life. When the King Qi knew about this, he immediately sent out some experts to investigate. Xianxia discovered that those experts were only at the 5th or 6th stage of the Daopa realm, so they were not much of a threat to him. This city had a lot of losses at the moment. First, 100 of elite soldiers were killed by Xianxia, then 10 elite warriors and a leader were killed. To hit King Qi's son, and to even be so fierce and arrogant, was clearly slapping his face. King Qi also took this matter very seriously, and the name Xianxia had also spread throughout the Earth spirit world, which was exactly as Xianxia had predicted. This matter not only angered the King Qi, even the other nobles were very worried about it, because they never thought that Shen Tianhu would have such a person under his command. Xianxia had been waiting inside the city the entire time. He didn't make him wait too long. He only waited for Shen Tianhu's signal. Shen Tianhu found a secret record in the city and found a jade talisman there. Only then could he use this jade talisman to send a message to Xianxia and contact him. "Xiang'er, is that you?" Xianxia heard his familiar voice from the jade talisman, but it was low. "Dad, it's me," Xianxia said excitedly. Good. Where are you? I'll go look for you right now." Shen Tianhu was also very excited at this time. He did not think that he would be able to meet his son again. "Dad, I'll go look for you. Where are you now?" Xianxia asked. He was worried that Shen Tianhu would be discovered if he did not conceal himself well enough. Shen Tianhu told Xianxia his location, and Xianxia quickly teleported over, changing back to his original appearance. When she saw Shen Tianhu, Xianxia's eyes became moist, and she rushed over to hug Shen Tianhu. Shen Tianhu was already like a middle-aged man with white hair and a lot of age, but what surprised Xianxia the most was that Shen Tianhu was in the 10th stage of the Daopa realm. He was curious as to why Shen Tianhu was able to break through so quickly and have such cultivation. "Let's talk somewhere else," Xianxia said before bringing his conical hat along with him and teleporting out of the city. They arrived at a forest far away from the city. "Dad, what's going on? What about our Shen family? Is he still there?" Xianxia asked quickly. "He's gone." Shen Tianhu shook his head and sighed. "It's been so long, and after so many things, I don't want the Shen family anymore. But I did establish the Earth spirit world, and it's just that, it's all my fault. I don't have the ability to protect myself." Xianxia was currently very angry, because the people who were attacking Earth spirit world were still enjoying life. "Are you the only one left?" Xianxia patted Shen Tianhu's shoulder. "Of course not. More than half of our soldiers died and a lot of civilians survived. Back then, I had anticipated that those fellows would have ill intentions and had been defending them from time to time." Shen Tianhu laughed. "I created an underground palace at a deeper place. It's very close to the center of the earth, and there's even a very small river of fire there. I heard they were all killed." "Dad, you're so awesome." Xianxia gave Shen Tianhu a big thumbs up. "If I were powerful, I wouldn't have been driven away." Shen Tianhu laughed bitterly. "You're the awesome one. To think that you could actually find me, and even enter this damned place, and ruthlessly beat up King Qi's son." "Right, what happened on this island?" Xianxia asked. A poisonous rain suddenly fell from the sky, causing the entire island to be shrouded in death poison. I already knew about this matter because during that short period of time when I was sleeping, there would be people who would tell me about this matter. Furthermore, they would also tell me the method to dodge it. Shen Tianhu said, was very surprised. Someone actually asked him to build a Earth spirit world here. This Earth spirit world existed in the first place. We only built many cities later on. So when the poisonous rain came, not a single one of us died. This Earth spirit world existed in the first place, we only built many cities later on. When Shen Tianhu thought back to this moment, he could not help but become angry. Let's take a look at the underground palace, Chen Xiang said. Shen Tianhu instructed Chen Xiang to teleport, and very quickly, they arrived at the entrance to the underground palace. It was in the depths of a mountain range and entered from the mouth of a dead volcano. Dad, how strong are those guys? Chen Xiang asked. I'll help you fix them, so that you can take over the Earth Spirit World from here. The strongest should be that Earth Spirit World Emperor. That guy broke through the Daopa realm, so I'm not his opponent. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have lost, Shen Tianhu said. At this moment he opened a stone door. Dad, how did you cultivate so fast? You're faster than me by a lot. All these years, I've also relied on pills to speed me up. Chen Xiang said. You definitely do not have that many pills here. Of course not. When Shen Tianhu mentioned this matter, he thought back to his past. Chen Xiang also immediately knew that the people who were with Shen Tianhu back then were no longer here, and only he was still alive. For many years, it was the voice in my mind that helped me and guided me in my cultivation. As a result, I absorbed the power of this island very quickly. Shen Tianhu said, in short, every time I encounter a bottleneck, as long as I meditate and cultivate, I can feel myself merging with the entire island, and I'll be able to break through it very quickly. But now, the situation on this island isn't very good. So it is very difficult for me to enter the Dao Profound Realm. Shen Tianhu brought Chen Xiang and entered the gates of the underground palace. There were a few middle-aged men guarding the gates. They were very curious about Chen Xiang's identity, because it was very rare for Shen Tianhu to be so intimate with others, even though Shen Tianhu was usually full of dignity. But now he looked a lot more gentle. Our Shen family has disappeared a long time ago. These people all came from that island, and there are even people from that spatial rift, Shen Tianhu said. Chen Xiang had also heard that back then, there were many people who were opposed to taking over Earth's spirit world. Many people supported living in harmony with them, just that the great powers were too greedy, and were not willing for Shen Tianhu to take control of the entire Earth spirit world, which was why they started the war. At that time, many of the people who came over from the spatial crack had also joined Shen Tianhu's side, and fought with the royalty. However, Shen Tianhu lost in the end and brought them here. Father, do you have any plans now? Are you sure that the strongest people over there are only at the Dao Profound Realm? Chen Xiang asked. If that's the case, I feel that we can immediately go back and eliminate those 10 kings and the world emperor. You only seem to be Dao Dan realm now, right? What can you do? Shen Tianhu said. He had already brought Chen Xiang to a hall in the underground palace. This was his cave. Yes, Chen Xiang said. All right, wait for me. I'll go gather those generals. Shen Tianhu trusted Chen Xiang a lot, so he didn't ask too much and immediately walked out of the hall. Chen Xiang asked Xia Beiling, Sister Bai Ling, can you handle the Dao Profound Realm? Xia Beiling scoffed. What do you mean? Even if 10,000 comes, I will still kill them all. No matter how many there are, I will still kill them all. Sister Bai Ling, you're so amazing. What is your Dao sovereign cultivation level? Chen Xiang could not help but exclaim. He did not have a deep understanding of these realms. He had previously heard from Chu Hongqing and Yang Xiangyin that the Daopa realm was very strong. When Chen Xiang was chased by the experts of the undead divine race, he did not know what their cultivations were. He only knew that they had definitely surpassed the Daopa realm by a lot. There are a total of 10 stages in the heavenly Dao realm. Dao Ti realm, Dao Yuan realm, Dao Dan realm, Daopa realm, Dao Profound realm, Dao Shi realm, Dao Zong realm, and beyond them are the extremely difficult Tao Dumes. After the Tao Dumes are the Dao sovereigns. Xia Beiling said. Sister Bai Ling, you're actually so amazing. He's actually at the last realm. Chen Xiang said in shock. To you, it's quite impressive, but so what? Even now, I still don't understand who the power that punished our city was. Xia Beiling said. I'll definitely understand it in the future. You must believe in yourself. Chen Xiang laughed. Xia Beiling nodded, because the punishment for her city's power led to her family's destruction and death. She wanted revenge. The undead divine race who were chasing and killing you before were all part of the Dao Zong realm, and the strongest among all the hundreds of flowers village were Xiaoqian, Long Shuangru and Xuering. And the Long Jiuxiao in the heavenly dragon city is the Dao Zong realm. Xia Bailing said, Long Jiuxiao should be preparing to enter the Tao Doom realm. Of course, for heavenly beast like him, the Tao Doom is easier to pass. Sister Bai Ling, didn't you say the Void and the two Dao sovereigns failed their tribulation? What do you mean, they're Dao sovereigns? Chun Xiang asked. They have successfully become Dao sovereigns. However, there was a problem with the Tao Doom which caused them to become like that. But of course, that doesn't affect their strength at all. But as they see it, that's because the tribulation has failed. Xia Bailing said, Does everyone become like this when they fail at transcending tribulation? Chan Xiang asked again. Looks like Tao Doom is very powerful. It's not that powerful. You'll know the specifics after you experience it. If it's really that powerful, then Void and Azure Sun would have already died long ago. If the Tao Doom was not successful, they would lose some things such as the Azure Sun and the Void, which would forever be small. Xia Bailing said. Ah, forever. Chan Xiang was shocked. They are so pitiful. Yes. Xia Bailing giggled. So you better be careful in the future. If you become smaller forever, your beautiful wives would be very depressed. I'm not going to turn into that bird. Chan Xiang snorted. He also felt fear when he thought about it. Besides becoming smaller, are there any other ways to pay the price? There is. For example, half humans and half beasts could become beasts, or could become stars in the sky, or could become flowers, plants, and trees. In short, it would become something else. It was one kind of thing. It's more common to become a child and then become something else. Xia Bailing said. And the worst is that they have become weirdly shaped. I heard that some of them had their buttocks and heads swapped places. Chan Xiang's brows twitched. This was indeed too tragic. You don't have to be afraid. You'll definitely be able to get through it. When Xia Bailing was in the Hundreds of Flowers village, he had a rather deep understanding of Chun Xiang. He was a guy who could change his fate, and his luck had always been good. Sister Bai Ling, it's going to be tough on you. Help me get rid of those bad guys. Chun Xiang said. I know. I love punishing bad guys. Xia Bailing laughed. Oh right, my old man is always being trifled by some guy. What do you think, Sister Bai Ling? Chun Xiang said. That guy must be on this island. Xia Bailing was silent for a moment, then said, I am also very curious about this matter. That fellow knew beforehand that it would rain poison rain and told your father to prepare to evacuate to this Earth Spirit world. This Earth Spirit world is obviously related to that guy. Although it's not difficult for your father to create a Earth Spirit world with his strength, it's definitely not over in a short amount of time. Chun Xiang nodded his head. That guy possesses very powerful strength, and he treats my father quite well. Xia Bailing said. But he did not take care of your father anymore. Otherwise, your father's Earth Spirit world would not have been taken down. Why is that? Chun Xiang said as his brows knitted together. Could it be that that guy felt that my father was too weak, so he gave up on my father and went to find that crappy world emperor from the Dao Profound realm? No, it's just that he's not in a good situation right now. Xia Bailing's voice became serious. I think that guy is the spirit of this island, which is also the island spirit. Island spirit? Chun Xiang took in a deep breath. What Xia Bailing said was true. He felt that it was true. If not for the fact that island spirit did not have enough power, spatial rifts would not have appeared. In order to help the humans on the ground survive, island spirit must have a lot of power. Moreover, this island was constantly being corroded by the deadly poison, which had a strong devouring force, so after a long time, island spirit would definitely become very weak. This island was the island spirit's body. If one were to suffer such devastation, the current condition of the island spirit could be imagined. If we can find the island spirit, perhaps I can find out why our city was poisoned back then. Island spirit definitely knows about this matter, which is why he told your father in advance and told him to be on guard. Xia Bailing said. Yes, the island spirit must be at the core of the earth, and the earthly beast might even be the island spirit. Xianxia nodded his head. Once we settle the matters of the Earth spirit world, we'll go to the core of the Earth to take a look. Xianxia, do you have any way to cure the death poison? Xia Bailing suddenly asked, his voice weak. I feel that this island is very pitiful. He is intelligent, and can be considered a living being. Moreover, he has helped your father before. If possible, we should help him. It was only because Xia Bailing had asked Xianxia this question when she saw Impenetrable that she had heard of him allowing two spacetime to fuse together. To her, this sounded like an unimaginable feat, but Xianxia had done it when he was very weak. Yes, when we settle the matter of finding the Earth spirit world, we can then find the island spirit and ask him for his opinion. Xianxia quickly thought of a way. What method? Xia Bailing suddenly became excited. She and the Azure Sky Snake were both troubled by the issue of the death poison, because they had already constructed a very powerful city. They had also discussed how they could cure the poison if they were to encounter rain again. Fire! Xianxia said. He felt that the flames released by the Xianxia god furnace should not be a problem, and after using the creation god spring to water the soil that had been corroded by the death poison, it would be able to restore its vitality. Of course, this was only his imagination. He had never tried it and did not know if he would succeed or not. On the way here, Xin Tianhu had told them that his son had come to find him, and had even told them what Xianxia had done outside. This was also to let Xianxia gain their acknowledgement. At this time, Xin Tianhu introduced all of these rankers to Xianxia one by one. Some of them were with Xin Tianhu, and some of them were from other worlds. Xiang'er, tell me your plan now. I know you have a way. Xin Tianhu said. He was very clear about Xianxia's methods. I have a Dao sovereign level expert with me. My plan is for her to take action and kill off the more threatening ones. After that, leave the smaller ones to us. Xianxia said. Is this for real? An old man exclaimed. Dao sovereigns were something they yearned for. In their world, they were like legends. Absolutely. Xianxia nodded. After all, it was somewhat difficult for them to accept this. Right now, the Earth Spirit World's Realm Emperor was only a Dao Profound realm, but the pressure was so great that they were unable to breathe. If there really was a Dao Sovereign expert, then their side would definitely be an invincible existence. It would be a piece of cake for them to take down the Earth Spirit World's 10 Kings and World Emperor. Xin Tianhu obviously believed Xianxia's words. He also understood why the others did not believe him and said, Xiang'er, can you let this Dao Sovereign out? No problem. Xianxia immediately let Xia Bailing come out of the Yu Yao Mountain Villa, and he had already greeted her beforehand. When Xia Bailing came out, she pretended to be cold so that she looked more like an expert. This was what Xianxia had told her before. Seeing this beautiful and noble woman in a purple dress, everyone was stunned. In their imaginations, a Dao sovereign expert should be a very old man. Xianxia thought so too, but he had seen even more outrageous Dao sovereigns like Qingyang and Sukong. He felt that Dao sovereigns were extremely eccentric. Xia Bailing was still considered normal. Everyone, there's no need to suspect that she's a Dao sovereign. Xianxia laughed. She was the one who helped me previously, and I only managed to kill Qi Xianlong's 10 experts. Xianxia had indeed killed many experts by his side, but Xianxia was only at the 10th level of the Dao Dan realm. Is this really the cultivation of a Dao sovereign? An old man who could not feel Xia Bailing's aura was suspicious. Although Xia Bailing was acting cold on purpose, she was not a woman who was born with the demeanor of a strong ranker. Sister Bai Ling, how many moves did you miss? Xianxia said to Xia Bailing in a low voice. Xia Bailing waved her hand, and a beating heart appeared on top of her palm. This is my heart. The old man cried out in alarm, his face turning pale. Senior, don't worry, your heart is fine. Xianxia laughed. At the same time, Xia Bailing returned his heart back to him. At this moment, everyone was trembling with fear, worried that their hearts would be randomly pulled out and crushed. Of course, they still could not feel the cultivation strength of the Dao Lord yet, but they knew that Xia Bailing was much stronger than them. Is everyone ready now? If all of you are not worried, we can go and kill the World Emperor and the other 10 kings first. After that, you can attack. Xianxia said. All right then. Xin Tianhu nodded his head. Xianxia, let me go with you. No need, Dad, you just stay here and prepare to attack. After we quickly take back Earth's spirit world, I still have important things to do. I'll tell Sister Bai Ling if she can get rid of the deadly poison on the ground and let everyone return to the ground. Chen Xiang said. Everyone was excited. They felt that they could possibly do this because Xia Bailing was a Dao Lord. In their eyes, there was nothing that Dao sovereigns could not do. Then can you find the World Emperor? Xin Tianhu replied. I'm still a bit worried. What's so difficult about that? I can even come to this place, not to mention finding such a famous person in Earth's spirit world. Chun Xiang laughed. We will leave it at that. We will leave first. Chun Xiang brought Xia Bailing out of the underground palace and came to the surface. Little scoundrel, didn't you look very domineering just now? Xia Bailing chuckled. No, it looks weird, but it's much better than your usual mischievous smile. Chun Xiang laughed and said, only people like Sister Huishan and Sister Qilian can be called domineering. Humph. Looking down on me. Xia Bailing ruthlessly pinched Chun Xiang's handsome face. And then, he entered the Yu Yao Mountain Villa. Find that whatever World Emperor and let me make a move first. Chun Xiang teleported to a city. The city was relatively large, and he immediately entered the city lord's mansion to kill the rankers beside it. The city lord of this city was also a member of the King Qi. Back then, he had also participated in the war to take over the Earth spirit world, so Chun Xiang was extremely ruthless. Chun Xiang had teleported from the city to the spirit demon city, where the World Emperor lived. Looking for the World Emperor's subordinates like this is too troublesome. Think of a way to attract them here and kill them all together. Xia Bailing said. I also have the same thought. Right now, I'll go and capture that World King. Then I'll impersonate that World King. Chun Xiang nodded. In this Spirit Emperor city, there was a lack of resources, so there were very little defensive arrays. Even if there was one, it would not be very strong. When Chun Xiang found him, he was having fun with a large group of people, playing with a large group of beauties in the pool. Chun Xiang hid in the large bathtub in the room and waited for a while. Finally, he waited for the World Emperor to leave by himself. The World Emperor was a middle-aged man. His appearance was ordinary, but he still looked quite mighty. He entered his own secret room, took out a jade bottle, and from within he took out a pill. What pill is this? Chun Xiang asked. He had turned into smoke just now and had quietly followed them in. The World Emperor was very vigilant. When he heard someone ask behind him, he was suddenly shocked and a long sword also appeared in his hand. However, at that time, he discovered that his hands and feet had separated from his body. Xia Bailing had already made his move. Using the profound power of space, he separated the World Emperor's 4 limbs from her body, but only in space. There was neither blood nor pain, only that she was unable to move. I am Chun Xiang. Chun Xiang chuckled as his hand was already pressing onto the head of the Realm Emperor, engulfing his memories. He had seen quite a few dirty things from the World Emperor's memories. The World King cried out in pain. Although he had powerful power, that power seemed to have separated from him. Although he could feel it, he could not use it. Xia Bailing didn't need to come out from Chun Xiang's Yu Yao Mountain Villa to easily suppress the World Emperor. You guys have occupied the Earth Spirit City for so long. Do you have enough blessings? Chun Xiang laughed coldly, and then let Xia Bailing use his spatial energy to seal the World Emperor and throw him into the Xianxia God Furnace. Chun Xiang found many good things from the World Emperor's body, including communication jade symbol paper. At that moment, he had changed into the appearance of the World King. Moreover, he imitated the World King's voice and used the communication jade symbol paper to send messages to the 10 kings, as well as many powerful generals. After passing down the message, Chun Xiang found the more than 10 sons of the Realm King in the palace. He didn't kill them, and only threw them into the Xianxia God Furnaces. In only 4 hours, Chun Xiang had already gathered the 10 kings. As for the 30 generals, they were all at the 10th level of the Dao per realm. These people were the strongest within the Earth spirit world. If they were to kill them, Shen Tianhu and the others could easily snatch back the Earth spirit world without sacrificing too much. King Qi, I have heard about your son's matter. I think everyone knows the reason why I called you all here. That is to say, about Xianxia. Xianxia had changed into the appearance of the World King and imitated his aura. But we don't know where Shen Tianhu's group is right now. We already expected you to hide and wait for revenge. King Qi said. His face was filled with anger. Although he was provoked, he could not do anything. Xianxia nodded and said, I know where that Xianxia is. Oh! King Qi and the rest were shocked. Right here. Xianxia gave a strange smile, then immediately reverting back to his original appearance. They did not think that there would actually be someone with the ability to pretend to be the world emperor to call them over here. With their many years of experience, they immediately knew that the reason Xianxia had gathered them here was to kill them off in one go. Xia Bailing had already laid out a spatial enchantment, so they couldn't escape. Sister Bai Ling, let's fight. Xianxia was in a hurry to find the island spirit of this island. Xia Bailing immediately used her strong spatial energy and separated all of their heads. Then, using her fire sword Dao Mark, Xianxia released a fire sword and rushed towards them. Although these 40 people were all at the 10th stage of the Dao Per realm, they were all suppressed by Xia Bailing using spatial energy and had no power to resist, as they were easily killed by Xianxia. Xianxia took their heads and quickly returned to the underground palace. It had only been a day. Seeing that Xianxia had returned so quickly, Shen Tianhu asked, Can't we find where they are? Shen Tianhu was still discussing how to attack with the other rankers. No, I've already killed them all. After saying that, Xianxia threw the heads of the realm king, the 10 kings and the generals to the ground. Looking at the familiar faces, Shen Tianhu and the rest were all dumbstruck, because these people were all strong enemies in their eyes, and now that their heads were all here, it did not even take a day, especially the world emperor of the Dao Profound realm. Previously, he was a strong enemy that was difficult for them to defeat. Sister Bai Ling is a Dao sovereign. With her help, it would be a piece of cake. Xianxia laughed. Father, you should be able to handle those shrimp soldiers and crab generals, right? There's absolutely no problem. These dozens of people are the strongest on their side. Now that they're all dead, there's no difficulty at all. Shen Tianhu came back to reality. All these years, they had been thinking about how to take back their Earth Spirit World S and kill these people. They never thought that it would be done so easily by Xianxia. Dad, I'm going to find a guy. We'll talk in private, Xianxia said. Shen Tianhu nodded. Then, he had an old man collect these human heads and show them to their warriors. This could increase their morale. Shen Tianhu and Xianxia arrived at a secret room. Dad, when did the guy who gave you dreams not appear in your dreams? Xianxia asked. Are you going to look for him? Do you know where he is? Shen Tianhu asked. I think he is island spirit. Xianxia nodded. Not long after I entered the Earth Spirit world, he no longer contacted me. He previously told me that he might not appear again. Shen Tianhu was very surprised to know that it was the island spirit, as if he had understood a lot of things. Could it be that he died because of the poisonous rain? Shen Tianhu sighed. He's the same as my master. If not for him, I would have died long ago. I don't think he died, but he is currently very weak. If he doesn't get any more help, he might die, so I have to go find him. Xianxia said, I think it's very likely that he's in the center of the earth. Is there really a way? Shen Tianhu asked anxiously. He never told me where he is. He only said that he was always on this island. If that's really the case, then it's almost certainly him. Xianxia said, There's no time to lose, I will go find him now. I need to talk to him first before I know how to help him. Xiang'er, you have to do your best to help him. Shen Tianhu patted Xianxia's shoulder. Definitely. Xianxia laughed. I'll go right now. All right, you don't need to worry about the things here. We can solve it. Shen Tianhu said. Xianxia drilled into the ground from the underground palace. This place must be the closest to the Earth's core, and there was a place where the flame essence could come out. Although he was not very sure, at the very least, this was the only direction in which he could search for the island spirit. He quickly entered the core of the earth. With Xia Bailing using his spatial energy to protect himself, he did not have to worry about encountering any dangers down there. The earth's core is withering away, Xia Bailing said. But the thing that I am sure of is, if there is an island spirit here, he is definitely still alive. As long as the earth's heart does not die, he will not die. However, right now, the inner core was only burning without being able to absorb the great Tao Qi from the heaven and earth, and the ground was also being devoured by that deadly poison. Therefore, it was only a matter of time before this island was finished. Chun Xiang was currently heading towards the location of the core, and he could clearly sense the direction of the core inside the Earth's core. There was a terrifying and berserk energy there. If not for Xia Bailing, it would be extremely difficult for him to reach there. Several hours later, he finally arrived at the core. It was a huge, fiery red bead. He touched it lightly with his hand and felt a strong suction force that sucked him in.